Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena. If you haven't been here before, I am on a long and winding journey to trying to panic positively about the planet. This video is actually a kind of part two to the video I uploaded on Friday with Imi, who is from Sustainably Vegan. She is much more knowledgeable than me on the ways that I can improve the way I'm living in my flat and how that impacts the rest of my work, trying to act on bigger industrial things to do with the climate, and on how it impacts in small ways as well, and in little reminders around my house, little signals to be like, yes, we are in an emergency, things need to be changed, and also just in a more exciting and creative way, like how we can live in a better, less disposable way. So in that video, Imi showed me around my flat 1 year ago, and I showed her all of the things that I had by default in my flat, the ways I was living, and she very graciously and wisely advised me on different things that I could change about my day-to-day life that might have big implications for the planet later on. Today I'm going to take you through some of those. It's been a year since I filmed that video, so I wanted to update you on some of the small things I've changed, and also be, you know, not accountable, because, you know, I think that we do what we can, it's a journey, but just to like demonstrate the things that I've come up against in some of the advice, and just also maybe just to show, like, especially during the pandemic and how strange things have been lately, how some of these ideals can fall short and we can still make compromises that at least improve things a little bit. So I'm going to get into the things that I have changed. Let's go with number one. Number one was energy. So a year ago we were in a different flat. We've moved to a different part of the country, and we are now with Octopus Energy. We were with Eon. The flat that we're in currently is actually a lot more expensive to run than the previous flat. It's a little bit bigger, but also we have behind this wall the ugliest immersion heater of all time. So we had a bit of a shock when we moved and we switched to Octopus Energy, but I don't think that was to do with Octopus Energy, and I've talked to loads of other people and I don't think it's to do with them. I think it's how expensive running an immersion heater for any kind of hot water is. So again, that demonstrates, I think, the limits of when you're a renter, how eco-friendly you can make something that you're renting, because we don't have any power to change the way we heat the flat. It's more thinking mindfully about how often we put it on, if we're okay with lukewarm to cold showers every now and then, and also knowing at least that our energy sources are now a little bit more sustainable now they're with Octopus rather than Eon. If you want to hear about why Eon maybe not be the best people, even though they have a nice little website page telling us how good they are, then you can watch my original video with Imi, but that's one of the things we have changed. Ding! Number two, money. Now again, these things are really good to keep accountable, because I actually only remembered that I was supposed to be changing my money when I was planning this video, and I was like, oh shit, I haven't done that. So I'm currently in the process of changing my bank to Triodos. They are really, really cool, and I was reflecting on why it's taken me so long to change my bank to an ethical bank. I did at one point in my 20s bank with the Co-op for savings and stuff, but I hadn't done that in a really long time, and I think also mainly because, in a way of like not excusing myself but forgiving myself a bit, is that the reality of a lot of people's 20s is they live in their overdraft. So there was no way of me leaving NatWest, because I owed them quite a bit of money, and I think there's a lot more of my 20s than I'd like to admit really was lived in my overdraft. So now that I'm in my 30s and kind of taking a front seat on my own finances and really getting them in hand, and also not being in my overdraft anymore, means that I have the power to move to Triodos, and I'm really excited. I'm just waiting for a few more things to come through, but the actual application process I timed took me 8 minutes to do, so why it took me a year to do an 8-minute task, I will never know. But you know, I am not your Jesus, I am not your God, I am but a mere faulty, fluky mortal. But so far that process has been really, really easy, and if you're interested, I'm happy to keep you updated on that. But I have finally changed my bank. The next one was towels. Imi advised that we either get B Corp towels if we were to replace them or keep them. We actually ended up just keeping them. They have been with us for, you know, a very long time now, but and they are maybe a little bit dry, but I like to call them exfoliating. So we've just been using the same towels, and I plan not to change or buy new ones for a very long time. Razor was another one. I was using disposable heads, like, so I was still reusing the body of a razor, but the heads were disposable, and they also came in single plastic wraps, which wasn't great. Imi advised me to maybe try a safety razor, which I did. Unfortunately, because of everything being sold out during the pandemic, the only place that I could find one was the site that will not be named, and it cost me £12, which just still felt like a lot, especially for something I wasn't sure if I would get on with. But it's really, again, one of those you gotta speculate to accumulate, because this was really hard on me. It did not agree. I think because I shave so often, and this is not the best quality safety razor. I definitely, going back, I definitely get one that had better reviews, that was better designed, because the blades don't stick out that far on this one, so I was ending up getting quite a lot of razor rash. I didn't cut myself at all. It does take longer to shave because you're only shaving with like one razor, rather than usually in like a kind of shop bought razor you get like layers of razors and you do them all at once. But I didn't mind it. It's just that I was blunting them so often, and I was getting so much razor burn because I shaved my face. It was just really, really painful, and I was getting rid of a blade maybe every other time I used it because they were blunting so fast. So this is on me, and a learning there is to save up and buy the thing that is definitely designed to last forever, because I don't know what to do with this anymore. So I ended up using one of my boyfriend Craig's old razors, which is a Harry's razor. So at least I didn't have to buy a new handle. But these razors come in like one packet, they're not single wrapped. And I think I'm going to just do that for now until I work out a better safety razor solution. But this, I was really excited about this for a little bit, but it just ended up really hacking me raw. I'm not really sure why. Discuss in the comments. But I've just heard so many people have really great experiences with safety razors, and I don't know if it's just because I use mine on my face or the quality, but it didn't quite work for me. But it still gave me a hint to not buy something new, reuse, and improve what I was doing, which is buying Venus single-use ones. So we did have a plastic loofah. We used that until it unraveled like a party dress and completely died. I said Hail Mary our Father, put it in the recycling. God knows if it actually got recycled because of the statistics on recycling. But after that, we didn't really get anything until I was sent this loofah in a surprise goodie bag from Morrison's, which was very nice of them. It's probably not something that I would have purchased myself, but it is barely any plastic on it. It's made of wood, and this looks like it's going to last us years. So in the event of a scrub, we use this, and I think it's an improvement, but I'm not completely sure, to be honest. The next one was shampoo. So I was using a plastic shampoo bottle that was technically biodegradable. Again, very murky territory. So I have actually switched to just a fill glass bottle that I filled up at my local organic shop. This is a hand soap jar, but it is shampoo in there. It's Faith in Nature shampoo. It's really cheap to fill up. This is 500 millilitres, and I think it cost me about £6 to refill. I really like this. I was using like very specialist shampoo because my hair was thinning and it was quite delicate, but I've been using other ways to look after my hair that means that the shampoo doesn't have to be the thing that looks after it. I've started wrapping my hair at night, wearing a silk bonnet to bed. Like the hyacinth bouquet I am, and not tying it up as much, not dyeing it, doing other things to treat my hair well rather than having to buy specialist shampoo in plastic bottles. The next one was cleanser. I'm using the same cleanser. It's the Body Shop one. I swear by it, it's in a tin. We love it. And I actually went into the Body Shop to repurchase this the other day, and I realised that they have refill stations in the Body Shop now. Not for this, but for shampoo and conditioner and hand soap. So that's really exciting, and that's something that I couldn't have pictured happening a year ago when I was talking to Imi. So yeah, I'm happy with that. That has stayed. Deodorant, I had a Clay Cure, just a tin deodorant before, which worked really well for me, but I moved away from the shop that sold them that was local to me. So I've actually switched to Wild, which are a refill company that ship to the UK. So they ship everything in really small biodegradable packages, and you refill your deodorant like so and spin it upwards. I've got lemon meringue in there at the moment, but that's really good, pleasing me lots, and I just had to buy the case once. So that, seeing as we've moved around so much since I made that first video, this I think is a more manageable way of me using deodorant without having to find like a specialist shop that sells the kind of deodorant that works for me. Yeah, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think it's great. Toothpaste. We actually recently, kick up the butt from remembering this video, assisted, switched to the Aloe Dent, which is what Imi recommended, and I really like it. Got it from Holland & Barrett. It does hurt because it's like £4 instead of £1, but it's still relatively small. You know, it's the cost of a couple of Mars bars. That's how I want to think about it, rather than it being extortionate. What else have we got? Furniture. We were forced to buy a little bit of new furniture because of lockdown. Our backs were really suffering. We didn't own office chairs, and there was at that point in the pandemic, anyone who was going to buy a second-hand chair off somebody else on Facebook Marketplace had already bought it. And they were really in short supply. I really struggled to even buy new ones. So we have got office chairs, but I'm confident we're going to keep those forever. And apart from that, we've still got our second-hand furniture. We ended up, because we've been moving, we've rented a furnished place this time, which means we haven't had to buy any new furniture at all. And I'm hoping it stays that way until potentially one day we get on the property market before I'm 40. And then maybe we might buy some more second-hand furniture. But for now, that's been kept quite low, apart from our office chair debacle. Food. So I was trying to eat vegetarian when I was talking to Imi, but I admitted to her that I was, you know, having a bit of fish every now and then, dilly-dallying in the fish. Actually, since then, I think I've spent at least a whole year being completely vegetarian, and it's been fine. Like, if you want me to make a video about that, I will, but like, I just don't know what to say about it, apart from it was just totally fine, and I don't know what I was freaking out about. And I definitely learned some stuff along the way, and there's lots of misconceptions I had about being vegetarian, aspiring vegan, not doing it right now, but definitely have cut down on some of my dairy areas. Sounds like derriere. My dairy areas. But yeah, since then I've switched to a veggie diet, and it honestly feels completely normal. Like, what was I even pissing around about? Oh yeah, so Fairy Liquid we were buying. We are now on the Splosh train. Again, if you want me to make a video on Splosh, I can. But these are refillable cleaning products. We've refilled this at least 10 times since I last talked to Imi. And they're in concentrate, so you buy like a concentrated small recyclable like flexi bottle, and then you can fill it up like, I think it's like 8 or 10 times, which has been really, really great. And then we had an eco scrubby for our kitchen, and it died a horrible, manky, mouldy death. And since then, I'll be honest, I think Craig panic bought some sponges that we've been using. So I need to get back on that train and work out if there's a shop near my new house where I can get scrubbies, or get something that lasts a little bit longer, or maybe just get a brush. Maybe we're just at the brush stage of life. who can say? And then finally coffee and tea. Yeah, coffee and tea is something that I've been trying to buy fair trade, and then we were buying loose leaf tea, but again we've moved away from the place that sold our loose leaf tea, so I need to kick up the butt again, find that, because we fell into some Yorkshire tea boxes, which is, you know, really great and fine, but it's not really fair trade and it is full of plastic. So in an ideal world we'll get loose leaf tea again, but who can say? These are my sins. I'm problematic. He's a problem. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little update. Just a silly Monday video from me. Just if you were interested in the progress I've made since the Friday video. I'd love to hear anything that you've discovered that was easy for you to swap, something that you've come up against in your life that you're like, that's just not possible for me to swap. And this is, you know, I think that doesn't mean it's the end of the conversation. I think that's more like, okay, now I know that, what systems need to change that I can campaign for to make it possible for me to do that, rather than putting the onus on the personal and on the individual. If the circumstances don't permit, carrying on the conversation and working out how the circumstances should permit, and who is withholding the permitting. More permitting, please. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked being here and you think you might want to be here again, do hit the subscribe button. There is a whole Positive Panic series waiting for you here to work through. I promise it's lighthearted. We have a laugh. We do also talk about the climate, but it'll be okay. And then here's another video that YouTube thinks you might like. I think that's all from me. Frog Snog out.